What's up, guys? This is Tai Zen, and with me in this video, I have the Honorable Grandmaster, legendary LeonFu.com, the great oracle of cryptocurrency, okay? And in this video series, guys, on the profit potentials in privacy coins, we're coming into the home stretch. This is module number 5. We're gonna talk about what does a privacy coin need in order to succeed, all right? Before we get started, let's go through the quick sponsorship disclaimer. This video has been sponsored by a privacy coin project to provide an independent third-party review of the major privacy coin projects currently active to educate the public about the importance of financial privacy, right? So we're gonna talk about what privacy coins need to succeed, right? Every privacy coin project has to overcome 4 common obstacles to success, right? They include the technology, the privacy technology that's being used, the marketing, how do they get people to start adopting their privacy coin or their project or their network or their platform, and how do they make decisions on how to make changes and corrections that are needed, all right, or adjustments, and then the legal issues, because unlike other cryptocurrencies, privacy coin deals with hiding, or not hiding, but making private the information of your financial transactions, and governments and law enforcement agencies don't necessarily like that because they want to know what it is that you're doing, all right? So in this video, we'll go over each of these obstacles to consider to help you, the investor, right, evaluate the privacy projects and if they're worthy of an investment or not, right? These are necessary for all cryptocurrency projects, not just privacy coins alone, all right? Yeah. So the first key to success is the technology, specifically the privacy technology that's being used, right? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so let's talk about technology, because that's the first thing people talk about is like, hey, what does this coin do? So the first thing is the technology. It actually has to do what it says. In other words, the privacy coins must actually maintain a user's privacy on a technical level. And this is not easy as it sounds, guys. It's very, very, in fact, it's very hard.
It sounds so simple.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, but it's not. So let's talk about what is the project must actually do what it claims to do. And the reason why it's so hard is because cryptography, which is the basis of all of these projects, how they maintain your privacy, it's already very difficult. I'm not just talking about privacy here. I'm just talking about cryptography, just the math behind how to do encryption and decryption and how to do that in a secure way. That's already very difficult. And you may need that not just for privacy, but there are many applications to that. But then when you add in the requirements that it actually has to be private, you need, your scope of expertise has to go beyond just encryption. And therefore, we need a very strong technical team to maintain the security guarantees, such as privacy. And there's different degrees of privacy. As we've talked about, some of these coins, they don't keep everything private. Like some of them might reveal the amounts, even though they hide who it came from or who it's going to. Some of them reveal like the dates of the transaction. So we call this metadata. So there's different degrees of privacy here. So because of that, there's always a risk that the project fails. Technically fails, it no longer does what it was intended to do.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that the cryptography ensures the security of the cryptocurrency, and then that's difficult already, and now you have to put another layer of math on top of it to make it private.
It's not math, it's also things like the network, very technical things. I could talk for a few hours about what those are, but it goes beyond just cryptography.
Okay.
And going back to encryption, because this is what's very common about privacy is that people think of encryption, all encryption methods eventually fail. Every single one has. As long as time, because as time goes on, computers get faster, academics do more research, they figure out new kinds of math to break encryption. So SHA-1, SHA-1 recently has been hacked, and this has been a hashing algorithm, a cryptographic hashing algorithm that's been around for 20 years. And recently, it wasn't, not only did the computers get faster, but computer scientists' understanding of the math behind it got better, where they found a new way to do the math, which was 100,000 times faster than what they thought they had to do.
Yeah.
And that combined with the increases in computing power broke the encryption.
Okay.
So the takeaway here is a strong technical team is more important than whether the technology is foolproof.
From an
investor's
perspective.
From an investor's perspective, yes. It's not that we need it to be perfect or foolproof. We need the team, the community. Remember, we kept going back to the community, and the developers are a big part of that community. They have to be strong enough to fix any errors, flaws, bugs, and they have to do it in a timely manner.
Yeah, they have to be able to have enough experience and knowledge and skill so that maybe they don't recognize that flaw right away, but when that flaw does happen, they are capable of understanding
And
it
recovering.
and recovering and knowing how to fix
Yes.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
so the key to success number 2 is marketing, right? So I'll go over this a little bit, right? Many investors don't realize that project's marketing and business is just as important or even more important than the technology, okay? Because a lot of these developers, they're very nerdy, they're very technical, they're engineers, and they don't see the business side. All they see is the technical side because they understand that, and that's their main strength, right? But in the real world, in the business world, the way that things grow and get adopted is that a strong marketing and a strong business people have to be behind it to get people to be aware of it, to adopt it, to use it, and to spread the word about it, okay? So many privacy coin projects are run by highly technical people here. They have very little sense in business, in marketing, in the user experience, or in how to organize a community or build a community, right? So these developers are mostly technically focused because they're the only ones with the technical background to understand the potential of blockchain technologies.
And these guys are very important. Don't get us wrong. Like these guys, without them, none of this works. So, but we need more than just developers.
Yeah, that's just one piece of the puzzle. That's like building a car. You have the engine, but if you don't have a transmission or you don't have no wheels, the car doesn't go anywhere. All right, so they're critical, right? Notice that when the Bitcoin skeptics are people who do not have a combined understanding of technology, economics, and finance. It's hard to understand Bitcoin's potential or a privacy coin's potential without some understanding of all of these fields and how they relate to each other. You don't have to be an expert in it, but you do have to have a little bit of understanding of each of them.
Yeah. And I'd like to point out there that all the skeptical articles that have been published in the media, sometimes they're written by experts, but they're experts in only one of these 3 areas.
Yeah, and they don't understand the other 2.
They don't understand the other 2. There's very Nobel Prize winning economics economists who say Bitcoin's a scam.
Yeah.
Because he understands the economics. He doesn't know how computer works. Right?
But these are the same people that don't even have a cell phone.
Sure.
And they're still using the packing typewriter.
But or even technologists, people who are very experts in technology, but they don't really understand money. Or they don't understand economics. And so they're skeptical too. So you have people, experts, so-called, well, they are experts. But it's hard to understand the potential of Bitcoin if you don't understand how these 3 relate to each other.
Okay. And then there needs to be a strategy for community building, right? All the value of a coin comes from its community. And we keep saying this over and over that the developers, the users, and the people that surround that project is what makes it successful.
And the community, I would say it's like cylinders of an engine, right? Each part, you have the developers, the users, the service providers. For a project to succeed, all cylinders have to be firing.
And I know we quoted Charles Hoskinson before. Charles Hoskinson was the former co-founder of Ethereum, right? And he's currently the CEO of IOHK. It's Input Output Hong Kong, right? And he says all the time that all the value of a coin comes from its community, not the technology, right? So that's something that we often quote from Charles Hoskinson, because without the community, a technology by itself, without any users and any developers and any customers, has no value. Okay, so if mass adoption of a privacy coin is the goal, there needs to be a focus on the user and its software, right? And create a positive user experience. For example, we put Exodus, which is a wallet service. It's more than just a wallet service. It's a blockchain asset management software that allows you to store and manage all your blockchain assets, all your cryptocurrencies. And right now, we use that as an example because it's the undisputed, heavyweight, most user-friendly, and the most beautiful wallet service that's out there on the market right now. And so that's why we always use that as an example, right? In addition to that, there needs to be relationships that need to be formed with partners, right? With exchanges, with service providers, with investors, with academia, right? So if you have a currency project, a privacy coin project that has research, in an academy or in a college or a recognized college or university, if they have recognized scientists and academic researchers working on it, that's a good sign right there. Okay, so also the marketing also helps eliminate the negative image of privacy of coin projects, right? That needs to be addressed, right? Because when people think of dark coin, when they think of shadow cash, those are really
nebulous names.
Yeah, they're not like really positive and friendly names to
and
have.
that's what we're trying to do. We're with these series of videos trying to dispel this negative image on these privacy projects.
And that's what we were sponsored to do.
Yeah.
So talk about governance, because this is a key that you always focus on.
Governance is projects. Governance is really, when I speak of governance, I'm speaking of governance within the project itself, like how decisions are made, right? Because as you build a community, as the community gets larger, usually these projects start off as like community efforts. Yeah. So I might start a project and I'm the guy in charge, and you guys just listen to me. And that works to a point, right? On a small scale, that works to a point. But as that grows, if you continue to maintain that governance model, as it grows, then you can't make everyone happy. So you start alienating people, right? As that happens, and so projects, they start off with, I call it an autocratic leader, right? Such as Satoshi Nakamoto, who founded the founder of Bitcoin, such as Vitalik Buterin,
founder of
Ethereum. And so that's like a top-down governance that people you dictate down, right? That we're going to do this, and it's my decision. But if you keep doing that, if there's not a governance, you're going to have trouble scaling. You're going to have trouble because one person can't make the decisions on everything. He or she doesn't have.
Just so the audience knows, scaling means that to grow bigger and to adopt more users, and you get more users.
And Bitcoin, we're seeing the result of that in the Bitcoin community, such as the whole block size debate, where Bitcoin's transaction network is clogged. There's not enough room for more transactions, and so the community has been struggling trying to make a decision and can't come to a decision because the proper governance structures were not put in when Bitcoin was started, and it's kind of too late to do that now. But Bitcoin's community is struggling with governance at this time. I think no matter which side of the debate you are on, I think you can agree that governance has now become a major issue, that it's grown so large that they can't make a decision without alienating major
and maybe we should give an example, like the decisions, the governance decisions that Leon is talking about is, for example, like if we need to use feature A or feature B, which one do we go with? Because when you go with feature A, it's going to upset a group of people within the community. If you go with feature B, it's going to upset another portion of the community.
That's right.
So governance means that
how can the community come
to a consensus agreement that this is the decision that we're going to make, and that's what we're going to go with. Okay.
And so we saw the result of that last year with Ethereum. Ethereum was argued. I would. This is my opinion, that it's pretty much governed by an autocratic leader or a small group of people, namely Vitalik and
the Ethereum
Foundation, right? And they made a top-down decision to fork because of the DAO. We've gone into that in a previous video, which last year we did a lot of coverage on that. So we won't
bail out the DAO hack.
And you can go to our previous videos from last year, as we had a lot of coverage over that. But that decision alienated a large group of the Ethereum community. And they decided to basically say, screw you. They started this thing called Ethereum Classic. And now there's two Ethereums. And they're both widely traded. And they're both actively communities. But it's this governance issue. You can see what can happen if the governance goes wrong. Now you have two versions of Ethereum.
And now this is this issue with the Ethereum blockchains. This is completely different from something like Monero, where they fork off of Bytecoin, and Bytecoin forks off of a crypto node. Well, it's not a fork, but it's the original one. It's different from a coin forking off of another coin, because this was unintended and this was an accidental fork. I mean, or an accidental birth of a new coin.
The Ethereum Classic's viewpoint is that they're the guys that forked.
Yeah.
Like we just kept the software as is, right?
Yeah.
They just kept on going on the original chain.
Yeah.
They said, we didn't make any changes. We're doing Ethereum as it was.
Yeah.
All right. So,
So-
they are making their moral case that they are actually the real Ethereum.
Okay.
But
Now we go into the legal
yeah.
case, that legal obstacle that a privacy coin has to overcome in order to succeed, right? So privacy coin projects face higher legal risk than other cryptocurrency projects, right? There's already a negative image to what privacy coins are because they're commonly associated with illegal drugs, and they're associated with evading taxes, which is what the hype and the BS that the mainstream media that does not understand about cryptocurrencies would like the common folks to believe, right? There are legal risks that puts the project, the users, and its whole community at risk. And talk about the developers' risk, and talk about the risk that the users face.
So Satoshi Nakamoto, that's not his real name. I think that's pretty obvious. We don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He's never come out. He started Bitcoin 8 years ago now, and we still don't know who he is. And the reason for that is because people who have done what he did before, they were eventually prosecuted
And put in prison.
And put in prison. People that, like the guys at eGold and many kinds of electronic cash. The founders of those projects eventually were put in prison and arrested by the government, by the United States.
Because they don't like competing currencies and things like that.
Yeah, they're going to say it's for money laundering and things like that. But that's why he never showed himself. We still don't know who he is. He developed this and then he left, right? And so that's a reason why, because there's a risk that the governments of the world may come after the developers. So they need to be protected legally.
They cannot go after all the users because there's too many of them.
But the developers.
But the developing team, they can go after them because it's a centralized place.
Yes, and it's just only a small group of people who actually understand that are actually technically advanced enough to work on the software. So they are a target. Definitely they are a target. So they need protection. They need legal protection.
What about the users?
Well, the users are, because if the entire, I'd say the users are at risk, because if let's say Bitcoin was used to, ISIS used Bitcoin, I'm making stuff up, right?
Yeah.
To blow up something, and then they trace the funding back to.
How about you were just a couple of days ago? You were on the Bitcoin Meister show, and there was a gentleman there.
He's on Loco Bitcoins Trading, and I guess allegedly the police said he sold Bitcoins to what the police say was a drug dealer, and I guess the dogs sniffed some drugs on the money, and they now went after, confiscated his money, his cash, just because allegedly the cash where that came from was used for drugs.
Yeah, because he was selling his Bitcoins for some cash.
Now they never accused him of dealing. They never accused him of dealing drugs. What they accused the money of dealing drugs.
Yeah, so they wanted to arrest and confiscate the money.
They wanted to arrest the money.
Yeah.
They weren't going to arrest him. They were going to arrest his money, right?
Because the person that bought the Bitcoins from him gave him the cash.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's a guilt by association. Just, if you're a drug dealer and I just happen to do business with you, I could be considered guilty by the government, right?
What can really happen is if a serious illegal activity such as terrorism is traced back to the coin, it will face the full wrath of governments and law enforcement agencies, okay? And you don't want to mess with that because they will always win against you, okay? It's just one of you against a whole a law enforcement agency, okay? The challenge will be how the community will police themselves while maintaining a decentralization, all right, to keep things going, right? So experienced law firms are going to be needed to ensure that the laws are not broken. So if a privacy coin project, has wants to succeed, it needs to have some kind of legal counsel so that it knows to operate in the right direction. Okay, and what's also important is choosing the correct legal jurisdictions. For example, like Switzerland. For example, like the Ethereum Foundation, they established their foundation in Switzerland, and many cryptocurrency projects that are serious and they want to make sure they follow the law and everything. They do it in Switzerland because apparently, I don't know if you've been there, but I haven't. But apparently, a word on the street is that their legal system is more
their lawyers
suitable.
are advising them to do that. Yes. So this will protect. What are we saying here? We're saying that the purpose of the legal is to legally protect the community.
Yeah.
The community includes developers, the developers especially because they're exposed, the other community and any other user that may be out there.
Okay. So, some final thoughts about privacy coins. You want to go ahead and share that?
Yeah. So I would say that none of the I wouldn't say any of these projects are doing all of these things. I can't say that any of them are doing an excellent job on all of these that we've put out. Some are better in some areas than others, and as investors, we accept that. It doesn't have to. Rome wasn't built in a day, and so all of these things can happen. What we're going through. So Dash. They have a very strong business marketing plan, but I think they've pivoted their project away from just privacy, even though that's where they started.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more focused on just getting people to use their currency, right?
So they're starting to deviate away from the privacy. They're starting to crawl out of the privacy coin bucket.
They want to be broader than that. They want their goal is to be much broader than that. Zcash and Monero are at the moment. Once again, these things can change. So we're just talking in early January 2017. They seem at this point more to be focused on just their technology, their core technology, and it could be because they feel that they're not ready yet. They're not ready to just take this mainstream yet, and they want to perfect their technology. They want to spend more time. My opinion. That's my opinion. They want to spend more time focused on refining their technology before they go do what Dash did or is doing and take it mainstream. Dash believes that
it's good enough.
It's good enough. Let's go with it.
Let's get more users. Okay. So what that means is that sometimes you might have to look at to see is it something that you might agree with that it's a good technology, but from an investment perspective, you might want to wait and hold out before you put money into it, simply because they're not looking to gain users in a community yet.
But you can still make money as a technology.
Yeah, you still make.
Monero doubled the first year, then went up 5x the second year, but once the adoption happened, 30 times your money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to summarize this video module, guys. Right, every privacy coin project has to overcome common obstacles to success. We talked about it. They have to overcome the privacy technology that's being used. They have to overcome the marketing. How are they going to market themselves? How are they going to get users? How are they going to get adopters? How do they get people to incorporate their software and their technology and their privacy coin out there? Governance means how to make decisions on what needs to go in or how to improve the software. Right, so that's the privacy coin has to have that in place in order for it to grow and to scale and to adapt to new market conditions. And then the legal issues that has to be overcome so that they can make sure that they are following the laws of that jurisdiction that they're in and they're following the laws of the countries they're in, so that their users and their developers are doing everything legal and no one is breaking the law. Right. In addition, being able to change and adapt to market conditions is the key to privacy coin success. Right. Now, we're going to wrap up this video again with another sponsorship disclaimer. This video has been sponsored by a Privacy Coin Project to provide an independent third-party review of the major privacy coin projects currently active to educate the public about the importance of financial privacy with the recent news from WikiLeaks about how the CIA is spying on everyone and invading everyone's privacy. This is some of the reasons why we were sponsored to do this project, and we hope you guys enjoy it. If you have friends, families, or colleagues that are interested in learning how to create life-changing profits through cryptocurrency investing, all right, we invite you to share this channel and our videos with them, and we look forward to seeing you guys in a future video.